How are you? How's everyone doing? Let's get started with the information. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, we're live now and we're already seeing your comments here. A big hello to everyone. Hey, this topic is really intense. There are theories about why this closure of the Strait of Hormuz is happening, whether directly or indirectly. They're taking advantage of it for what they claim. It could be a kind of system reset. This is for economic purposes, but also to change some policies at the international level. It's a topic that attracts attention, and some powers seem to be taking advantage. We will be paying attention to this topic, but we will also look at today's news. So thank you very much for joining us. Go ahead and give us a like. Obviously, we will have the daily news, but we also have this special topic today. What is the plan? What are the theories about this hidden agenda in this topic, in this closure? Thank you very much to everyone who is liking and already sharing. Thank you very much to those who watch us on TV, who watch us on their phones, who listen to us while they're in the car, on the bus, or at work. Thank you very much at the gym as well. Thank you very much. Let's get to the details. Let's start with this image. This is from Mount Mino. We're seeing an eruption. The mountain over there in the Philippines is a volcano which creates this image. Let's see if we can take a look at it. This is the image uploaded by Pivox, who have their cameras active there and are showing this activity. This was this morning, according to their reports. Also, another image that draws attention. This image shared by the radical group Hezbollah is an image that would supposedly show the use of a missile. According to their reports, this missile would have been given to them by the Iranians. In other words, Hezbollah claims that the Iranians are giving them a missile that would be used against Israel. This would have been launched at the Israeli city of Carmiel. Apparently, a short-range tactical ballistic missile, the FAT-360 manufactured in Iran. Well, obviously a tremendous issue, and we'll see if there are any reactions from Israel as well. Well, this image is being shown, which is what we're seeing right now.
We're seeing attacks happening right now in Russia by the Ukrainians in this military operation that Russia has launched, which, well, still hasn't stopped.
Well, here are more images of those attacks. You can hear the sirens. The special military operation of 2 days, of 2 weeks, is obviously tremendous. Listen to this. This is Russia after 4 years of war now. Obviously, this is part of what people are experiencing. And well, the red skies, the smoke, the columns of smoke rising both in Russia and in Ukraine. It's part of what people are experiencing, but there are also smoke columns here in Mexico. On this occasion, well, according to some accounts, they have been showing these plumes of smoke. This is in Dos Bocas here in Mexico, where a fire apparently affected the refinery in Tabasco, Mexico. By the way, greetings to the community watching us in Tabasco. According to reports, 150 soldiers, or rather firefighters, are trying to put out the fire. The Mexican president herself apparently posted this. There was pipe posting about it. But anyway, the Mexican president gives this message. The director of Pemex and the manager of the Olmeca refinery say, "They tell me that the fire is located exclusively in a coke storage area. And it's under control," she says. So far, no injuries have been reported during the work. 150 Pemex personnel are participating. And with the support of the Navy and the Defense Ministry and state government personnel, Pemex will continue to provide updates through its official channels. That's the report from the presidency. This image also stands out, an image from the Spectrum Index, which shows the bet being placed in these sites like this one.
Polymarket is the one where calcium...
The one about calcium, similar to Polymarket's.
Competition, let's say?
Which would show that there is a significant advance by the Democratic Party, which has an 86% chance of winning this, at least as of today. There are still a few more months to go, but obviously this image we're seeing is also a concern at the White House.
Here we are seeing an eruption. I don't know which number eruption it is because there have been quite a few from the Kilauea volcano over in Hawaii. These images from the USGS, well, they're always sharing the activity of these volcanoes.
For those who are just listening to us, well, we're seeing a lava fountain with a column of smoke. This is according to what the USGS itself shows. Also, there's another image that catches the eye. Well, it's this way of exercising for those who have played Tetris. You'll understand me. I mean, they're using weights, but at the same time, the weights are what move the Tetris. One movement rotates it, another makes it drop, and so on. So, well, obviously,
That's tricky.
yeah, but at least it's kind of entertaining because a lot of times weights can be boring. Well, at least this way it's going to be entertaining to strengthen your arms a bit. Well, at least that's what this person is trying. Well, it's also a creative way to exercise. Well, another image that stands out is the message that Melania Trump herself gives regarding the case. Let's listen to what she says.
I've never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since it's common to move in the same social circles in New York and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email response to Maxwell can only be considered casual correspondence. My polite response to her email is nothing more than a trivial note. I'm not a victim of Epstein. Epstein didn't introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a party in New York City in 1998. This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book, Melania. The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event that Donald and I attended together. At that time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal activities. Numerous false images and statements about Epstein and me have been circulating on social media for years. Be careful what you believe. These images and stories are completely false.
Also, this image of Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, saying the following.
I'm fed up with families all over the country seeing their energy bills go up and down. Businesses also have energy bills that go up and down due to the actions of Putin or Trump in the world.
The economy is... Well, the comparison is interesting. This also draws attention, this image of Netanyahu himself speaking, well.
A message to Israel.
Dear residents of the North, I am proud of you. You keep standing strong. I want to tell you that there is no ceasefire in Lebanon. We continue to strike Hezbollah hard and we won't stop until we restore your security. Our tremendous achievements, both in Iran and against the axis of evil, have brought about a historic change in Israel's position in the region. They have also brought about a change in our country, our relationships with countries, relationships that did not exist before. After repeated requests from the Lebanese government to begin peace negotiations with us, yesterday I instructed the cabinet to start direct negotiations with Lebanon in order to achieve two objectives. First, the disarmament of Hezbollah, and second, a historic and lasting peace agreement between Israel and Lebanon. Israel is stronger than ever. Iran is weaker than ever. I've already secured 4 peace deals with Arab nations. I intend to achieve more. True peace, peace through strength.
Well, several important matters today. First of all, we saw Melania Trump talking about the Einstein case. They say that a series of very serious documents and cases are coming. That's why she released this video to get ahead of it. What is coming in the next few days or weeks, they say, is scandalous. And that's why right now she's trying to spin her narrative, saying whatever comes to mind.
I don't know this one.
I didn't find out. I didn't know what happened. Also, well, what's happening right now in Tehran is drawing attention. There have been explosions heard in the Iranian capital. Multiple explosive sounds have been reported in different parts of the northeastern area of Tehran. This began before dawn. Well, for them, by the 10th for what would be, as I understand it, Health Day. Now he did health too. Let's see. To Verderi, to Panterita, to the whole community that's joining in, to those who can't comment because we know not everyone can, we send a big greeting to all of you as well because we know you're there. Well, what do you think about this situation that's happening?
Well, those explosions were reported. This was around 4:20, 4:22 in the morning in different areas. They mention areas like Tarampars, Ozgol, and Kwan Arkosar, where people agree they heard 2 loud explosions. Some people say the sound was similar to the air defense system, although there is no official confirmation. I mean, the government isn't saying anything about it, but some witnesses rule out that hypothesis, most likely. They know it wasn't visible air defense activity. I mean, there were sounds, but they didn't see any military activity of that kind at that time. In places like Artes and Fulvar, residents are nearly certain there was an explosion. Areas, explosions. There was no other routine military activity, so something must have happened.
Well, the thing is that confusion has been dominating the area. Who is attacking? Who attacked the refinery? We talked about it today. There's a refinery that was attacked and nobody knows who did it. So now it turns out there are attacks and nobody knows who did it. Or there's a ceasefire and the attacks keep happening. There's a ceasefire and the shooting continues. Also to the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, is the Strait of Hormuz still closed? Has a message already been sent to Donald Trump or what? All right, thank you. At first I was saying, it's always the same, it's always the same, it's already like, you know.
It's boring.
There's boredom, and weariness in that sense all the time. He starts by saying it's just fake news from CNN and the New York Times and whoever else, and it's fake news. Because they're reporting that this, and this is happening, and 2 or 3 days later, exactly that happens, and he has to come out and admit it. And now he says, how? Is the Strait of Hormuz closed? What's going on? Now he says, how are they charging at the Strait of Hormuz? If that's true, I'm going to get mad and you'll see, and I don't know. Up until now, he's just reacting. They've been charging for passage through the Strait of Hormuz for weeks. It's nothing new, but now he's realizing the Iranians are going to make them pay for not honoring the agreement. Well, that's what they were telling you, and you said it was fake news, that it was from those people. Well, there's the issue. I mean, it's more like he's always 2 days behind, they don't inform him, or he pretends, right? Obviously, he's glued to the media, but he pretends, and well, now he has no other choice. Why doesn't he have another choice? Because people from the United Arab Emirates started calling him, because the Arabs started calling him now, and they themselves started posting on their accounts saying, hey, this is still closed. Do whatever you want, but this is still closed, and it's unacceptable that they're asking for $2 million to pass through international territory. If they start making rules like that, then everyone is going to do the same. Hey, if you pass through here, I'll charge you too. And so will I, and so will I, and everyone is going to do the same. Or, well, they're going to paralyze the whole planet. So, we're talking about the Strait of Hormuz, and it's taking some pretty interesting turns. And this is where things get interesting because there are several theories about what's happening inside. Today we're going to talk to you about that, but in the meantime, well, the supreme leader of Iran is threatening to maintain military pressure while supposedly trying to move forward with negotiations. What's going on there?
Well, that was around 3 or 4 in the morning, which for them was already the 10th. He started tweeting like crazy, supposedly a Padma Khamenei, the new supreme leader, and he claims that even though they have no intention of keeping the conflict going, they are not going to give up their national interests. We're talking about the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, they don't intend to stop charging. They don't intend to give up the control they've now imposed on themselves. I mean, so the situation is now worse than before the war. We are not seeking war and we do not want it, but we will not give up our legitimate right. Also speaking about enrichment, under no circumstances in this regard, we consider the resistance front as a whole. In other words, they remain quite determined on this issue. They don't seem to be giving in at all. It's a very strong message, and Khamenei emphasizes that they are determined to protect both their regional interests and the value of mobilization within the country.
Well, while we listen to what Khamenei is supposedly saying, because we really don't know if it's him or who's speaking for him. We saw this message we were telling you about where he gets angry and says there are reports that they're imposing charges. Obviously, the Strait of Hormuz is still closed, ships aren't passing through, and the ones that do either have their permission or are paying a fortune. It's an issue that also becomes unsustainable. And what happened with the oil situation today? Well, oil kept going up, and today already. That gap reached up to $98 from what can be seen. This is WTI West Texas, and it's also at 98, and the other one should be around $96. There's Brent, it's at 90. So oil is closer to 100 than to 90. Every time we look again, we see how there are still explosions, how the conflict in the area continues. Let's move on to another interesting topic. Well, Starmer also had an exchange with Donald Trump in which basically they come to an agreement to promote what they call a practical plan to open up the Strait of Hormuz. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and the President of the United States have been discussing the importance of restoring navigation, according to them. That's the approach they're taking.
We have to remember that all these weeks have been extremely tense because of Donald Trump. His rhetoric against the United Kingdom has been very strong, and well, today this call took place. I imagine there's something else going on there too, Ruth, because he visited him yesterday and it's known that he was making statements. They say that basically he just went to get verbally attacked by Donald Trump. This Marut, and well, today this man was saying that he doesn't care if the relationship is already bad. That if the interests of the United Kingdom come first, well, he has this conversation with Trump in which they both say that obviously it's urgent to make a plan now to open the Strait of Hormuz. It's impressive how gas prices are rising in Europe and how Asian countries are struggling.
Well, that's how things stand with that topic. So let's move on to the theories about it. They claim that this could be a controlled chaos, a way of pushing or encouraging people to pay attention to this. Why is this believed? First point. The Iranians have announced that they've been patrolling the Strait of Hormuz for decades. This isn't something new. It was known. There were warnings from experts. They had said it a long time ago. If this happens, it's very easy. Iran doesn't have the ability to fight directly as a country, let's say, like a power or something like that. No, it's not possible. What it can do is cause chaos in oil prices and energy markets. It blew up, and all of that will affect you here. First of all, it's going to affect you here. No, well, first of all, China. Okay. And then others. After that, who? Well, then it would affect other Asian countries. Among them, India would also be one of the most affected countries. Okay. And here? Well, Japan has reserves, Korea has more or less reserves, and then it would come to other countries, Bangladesh, etc. But it would also hit Europe a lot, although not very strongly, or not enough to cause a serious problem. And while all of this, what they're warning about now is that within this chaos, within all of this situation, there would be this idea of who wins and who loses the Strait of Hormuz. Basically, it's going to be the one who controls the future, let's say the energy future. There's a future that still has many years ahead. Here we're talking about the fact that not only oil interests would be pushed, but even the interests of Donald Trump himself. Not so much because maybe he planned it, but simply because he likes it, and that's known from his biographers and the people close to him. He handles himself very well in chaos. He prefers to provoke, and in that chaos he settles into it. And he more or less adapts to what he thinks is right, doesn't he? According to what is being reported, and there are several theories about why this is happening, Iran knows it can't defeat the United States militarily, but it can break the global system. It knows it's not just about oil. If it were just oil, that would be one thing, but it's oil, it's a fifth of the gas, it's helium, it's aluminum, everything starts coming out. All the issues like sulfuric acid, fertilizers, no matter how you look at it, it's a problem if it doesn't go up, but it's also an area of opportunity. In fact, Mexico is taking advantage of an opportunity that Mexico created. For example, it called for fracking. Go with fracking since they're watching. We can't rely on gas. Gas can go up, it can cause problems. And well, I'm sure a lot of people are going to say today, well, perfect, go ahead with fracking and whatever you want, right? Because at the end of the day, it's true there could be a risk. And I mean, in a way, there could be a risk. You shouldn't depend on that issue. At that point, there may be a reason. Now, what are the consequences of fracking? Well, that would have to be analyzed. What kind of fracking would it be? There are several kinds, so we'd need to analyze that, right?
But today there will be an NGO that says that no form of fracking is good.
Yes, well, no. Or if you ask an environmental NGO, they're going to tell you none. But let's say, which one is the least bad, which one is the least? Not just this one, but yes, which one is the least bad? If there really is one that's less bad, that's what they argue. Obviously, the oil companies, I'm not saying that's the right thing. Obviously, that would have to be analyzed independently by scientists, by experts on the subject. Now, another thing, getting into a conflict wasn't something unexpected. It was known that this was going to happen. It was known that this was going to increase 2 or 3 times. Donald Trump even played with the idea that, well, if the price goes up, it won't be so bad for us. I mean, that's the phrase he had been using. According to reports, Europe would be a vulnerable link. It would be or would be affected because there is a high energy dependence. Now, who will Europe depend on even more? Well, on the United States, because they don't want to buy from Russia. So here they're going to have to buy more. And Trump already said it. I have a lot of oil here. Well, to the United States. Who gets hit the hardest? Who is the one who gets shaken up the most? To China, which forces it to negotiate other issues. It forces China to start saying, well, let's negotiate. Are we going to negotiate about negotiating Taiwan, or what are we going to negotiate? I mean, where could this go? Obviously, China could also be making its move within the chaos. But let's not forget that China currently has an internal problem. It's going through a huge political and military purge. So right now, I don't know if Jinping has time to get involved in another international problem. Besides, I mean, he might be helping out with some materials. Today, there was a TV report saying they've been watching how they're selling to them part of the material for the solid fuel of the missiles, which is sodium perfluorate, right?
But anyway.
That's also another interesting point, right? What? Or what is the interesting part? Well, if we're thinking that this was caused intentionally, Russia would be one of the beneficiaries, a partner that may not be close to the United States but is close to Trump. Europe enters an energy crisis and buys at higher prices. Russia sells more energy even if it's indirectly, and that benefits Russia. That's another issue as well. How many? Who is pushing for the closure of the Strait of Hormuz? The Russia-Iran-China bloc? Well, no, because it's not convenient for China, but the Russia-Iran bloc, or maybe even... And well, once it's done, we go a little crazy, as China would say. Yes, it could push for closure since I'm still getting oil from Iran. At the end of the day, the little oil that comes out, we know it's the oil that Iran sells, it's the oil that Iran allows to leave. China is a player. I mean, China has always been a smart player. They know strategy. They're not someone who's just going to give in. Obviously not here, at least not for what's happening or this sort of hidden part. That's not what it is. What would be, let's say, the logic behind Donald Trump knowing that this was going to affect him? He carries out an attack that is unprecedented for Iran. I mean, the Iranians still don't even understand what happened. I mean, their famous supreme leader died. They eliminated him on day 1, and they still go out and celebrate and say that they're going to win I don't know what, but no matter how much of a victory it is, they eliminated your top leader. I mean, right from the start, at least in theory, because it's also like he's a pope, since he's supposed to be a spiritual leader too. So, celebrating that? I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but the closure would be, at least from this perspective, it wouldn't be an escalation, but rather a tolerated crisis to do something like a reset. 2, let's say, as this phrase goes, it says, never waste a major crisis to change a system. Basically, what they're doing is making it shake, and that's when they make the necessary changes. What do you need for fracking to be accepted? What do you need? No, well, I need that. And each person, each government, each country that's in its own internal crisis makes the necessary changes. So we should observe. An internal crisis is happening in every country. What changes is each one making? And in any case, also what other blocs or alliances are forming, because Europe has already changed Europe, and clearly Spain is now relegated by the United States, at least for now. Poland, Romania, and several other countries are on the sidelines. It seems like they're strengthening themselves. It's going to be like a golden era for one of those countries because there will be a better relationship with certain powers and other powers that were left behind. Well, somewhere in the middle, like France, Italy, Germany. They were tough, but not as tough as Spain, which was probably the most intense. Maybe history will see it differently, but right now we're not talking about history, we're talking about what's happening at this moment. The United States might want to reconfigure its alliances. China could speed up its energy independence by looking for other ways to generate energy. No longer depend on that area because it saw how dangerous it is for the whole country to collapse. If this happens, this is a huge problem. Russia consolidates its role as a key supplier. They say, look, I might let you down, but I'm key. You don't need me. There's no other way. Europe may also be forced to reinvent itself. That is, we have to think differently. For example, Germany built and shut down all its nuclear plants. And all these years of problems, these 4 years of issues with Russia and Ukraine could have been avoided. They would have skipped them and they would have clean energy, safe energy, because the plants are already there. The plants, let's be honest, still create the same safety problem. A nuclear accident could happen again. Accidents can happen however you look at it. The reactors are still there. So yes, there will be a dismantling over time, but it's a long process. So that's the thing. What do some experts who consider an energy crisis plausible say? It leads to structural changes in countries, wars. After the wars that follow, a redesign of the world order. It sounds really, really crazy, but that's what happens. Every time there's a major war, everything gets redesigned, everything resets. Like, okay, you're going to be allied with this one. It's better for me to go with this one, and everything gets approached differently. And what happens when there are emergencies? Well, state power expands. That's also a risk for many countries that could quickly shift from having many freedoms to more closed off, more conservative, in the sense that you no longer have as many freedoms. And that would be another risk we would have to consider, which is obviously concerning in situations like this. Yes, it's unlikely that it's just one plan. I don't think it's just one plan, as some claim. I think that within the chaos, there are many plans, and everyone is pulling in their own direction and trying to do what they can. I don't think this is a single plan. Along with Iran, Israel, the United States. No, I think that actually everyone has their own plan, and each one wants to carry it out to the fullest. There are also many losers, clearly, but among these losers, well, I don't see losers, at least not the Iranian regime as such. I mean, I think the Iranian regime is surviving. And it's showing well that it had more strength than it seemed. It's also showing that the strategy that was mentioned around Hormuz is a strategy that really could make the planet collapse. I mean, economically speaking. At the very least, a food crisis and a lot more crises, political crises, and so on and so on. No, it's also showing which countries are more vulnerable. There are countries that seem like powers. Maybe you're telling me that India or China don't have reserves. I mean, that they could really just suddenly run out of energy. That's not possible. How is that possible? I mean, you can't be a world power. If suddenly, out of nowhere, they can make you collapse like that, it's not possible. I mean, that part, to me, seems like it's going to be a turning point for China. I believe they'll reinvent themselves now, determined not to let this happen again after coming so close. I mean, even if they're working or they go in there directly and say, we're going to take control ourselves, still, we can't fall. Help us, everyone, from the point of view that there are 1.4 billion inhabitants. You can't let it get out of hand because it turns into a huge problem. But anyway, one more thing about this matter.
Well, basically, Iran now has more control, and whenever it wants, it can just close it.
That's all, at least for now.
That's how it looks, right? Like it really does have more control.
Now, yes, that's how it looks. At least up until now, that's how it seems. And it doesn't seem like the war is gonna stop, but it also doesn't look like they want to extend it with troops and all that, or at least not so far, right? It looks like it's in a kind of weird middle ground, right? I mean, it's not clear to me, for example, what the next step is going to be. From what I've seen from some like experts, advisors from, for example, NATO or what's it called, even from the Pentagon itself. I mean, what they see right now that they're retired from the outside, is the worst thing was to keep going. I mean, they really believe that the worst part was to keep going. There was nowhere to go. There was no way out. I mean, this part about hitting pause, or they see it, not that it's right, it should have been avoided, but once you're there, right? The problem is, what happens if suddenly the United States says, yes, I'll withdraw, but open the strait for me, and they say no? Yeah, it's like you don't open the strait. That would be a huge issue. I mean, so what's really interesting is what's coming next. Not so much because of the conflict itself, but what's most interesting from a strategic point of view. Let's see who comes out on top. Who will come out better in that situation? Who will come out on top? That's how it is. With a lot of infrastructure destroyed, Iran is going to come out on top. Xi Jinping, even with all his internal crises, is going to say, well, look, now I'm the one who's going to control all of this indirectly. It's either the United States or Israel. Who comes out on top? That's the question I'm asking here to the community watching us live or later. From your homes out there? Share your analysis and leave me a comment. We'll move on to other topics as well, important ones. So, to make things even stranger, since day one of the supposed agreement, the first report I remember from the Arab countries is that they're sending us 4 drones. United Arab Emirates, I think it was, just sent 4. There are ballistic missiles, and then Saudi Arabia, and that's how it started. Then another day goes by, which is today, and again they were saying they're attacking us. Huh? I don't remember Qatar or Bahrain, but I do remember Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. I don't remember anything about Kuwait. I don't remember Kuwait.
Yes, also today.
Well, yes, actually we put up the image of the refinery or whatever it was.
Well, actually, on the very day and at the very hour the ceasefire agreement was made, there was an immediate attack on a Taiwanese gas company in Kuwait, and today there was another attack in Kuwait.
So, well, the attacks haven't stopped.
They simply haven't stopped.
And what does Iran say?
The Islamic Revolutionary Guard says that, well, the country's armed forces have not launched any attack against any country in the region. That since the ceasefire began, since Donald Trump posted the tweet, basically they haven't done absolutely anything. And this, well, comes after Kuwait warned that it has been the target of attacks since the ceasefire began.
I mean, well, let's consider all the theories, right? Since we're talking about theories, let's suppose it were true. Well, if it's true, notice that Iran isn't launching them. Who could be carrying out the attacks? I mean, who benefits from continuing the war? Right? Who is most interested in the war continuing? I'm asking you the question. Now, honestly, it's very hard for me to trust the Revolutionary Guard. because they've lied so often. Honestly, I don't believe or trust any of them. But the Iranians, specifically the Revolutionary Guard, constantly do that. They attack and deny responsibility, right? Yes.
Well, the attacks their neighbors have carried out, they insist that they have only targeted military facilities, which, well, we've seen images of very iconic hotels being attacked. Thank you.
And the thing is, because many people think, well, the attack could have come from Israel, it could have come from the United States, from a ship, I don't know. The thing is that missiles leave a trail from the moment they're launched. I mean, it's not like you only find out at the very moment when the missile arrives. No, no, no. And the Arabs have quite a bit of technology in this area. They've invested a lot in satellite technology. Yes, it's a field where they're very advanced. In fact, they're among the most advanced in the world. Besides, they share systems with the United States. I mean, they have systems that let them know exactly the direction from which it was launched. I mean, maybe they can't know like, hey, it was exactly this mountain at this point, because if they did know, they'd strike right there, right? But they do know the direction and say this is where it was launched from. Here is where the heat signature appears, where it comes from, especially with ballistic missiles. They know exactly where they're coming from. And as for the drones, well, they can see them. They see them coming, including the missiles. So they can know perfectly well if the missile was made in Russia, Iran, the United States, Israel, or wherever. So they have the material and they have the signature of where the missile comes from. So I imagine they don't have much doubt that they're from Iran, because that's what they say. The Arab countries are saying Iran is attacking them.
Sure, I have the statement where they say Iran keeps attacking us despite the agreement.
Sorry, Iran says it's not us. Okay, so who inside Iran is carrying out the attacks? And here there are also several ideas. From the beginning, the Iranians themselves admitted that they don't control all the groups, that they are divided over that. The Revolutionary Guard is not an army as such, but rather it's like a guard that reports directly to the supreme leader, but it has multiple leaders. That's how it was formed. It was done on purpose, yes, with the idea that there wouldn't be a possibility for a single leader to suddenly betray the supreme leader. And so now, instead of one person having the power of the whole guard, it's like, okay, if there's a traitor, maybe some groups will go with the traitor, but the other groups won't follow the traitor. So they're designed to think independently based on a goal that they already have in their minds. But it's likely that we'll also see these groups say, I don't care about the negotiations, I don't agree with them, and I'm going to keep attacking and shooting no matter what. I mean, that's possible. Yes, it's possible that they're groups from the guard itself.
Yes, that's very possible too.
Making their attacks and agreements. It's not enough for me, I keep shooting. So I say, that's also a possibility. Yes.
It says here, if Iran keeps charging $2 million per ship, Iran would be the winner of the war. Because if only 15 ships are going to pass, just 15 ships, they say that between 10 and 15 will pass. No, that's the thing. It says they would be charging $11 billion a year, nothing more.
No more than that.
Nothing more than that.
From their oil that they're going to extract, and basically they would have control over the global price of oil. How could they not do it? I mean, if that's how it's going to be, they would be the winners because it's not just about the payment, it's those 11 billion.
It's nothing.
They're nothing compared to what they would earn by selling their own oil at a very high price. Ah, wow, the price of oil started to drop. Close the strait so the price goes up even more. I mean, at least for a few years.
And raise the toll for passing through as well.
Yeah, but I mean, at least for a few years they would have the power to do that. It wouldn't be forever because that's also a turning point for the Middle East. The Middle East is going to reinvent itself. If they were already pretty armed, what we're going to see is that they're going to arm themselves to the teeth. Because just imagine the billions or even hundreds of billions of dollars that are invested throughout the Middle East. And so, well, they were, but not anymore. They were the promise of a place where people said there'd be a lot of potential in technology. This is going to be the future of luxury, tourism, innovation, and so on. All those areas, genetics, health, and many other fields they're bringing to this whole region, yes, now it disappears. Well, who in their right mind would want to go there to invest? And you know what? Imagine that you worked your whole life, that you're a doctor, right? and you worked your whole life and you say, hey, well, I have my savings and I want to retire and I'm looking for somewhere in the world to go, right? I want to leave my country and I want to forget everything and just enjoy myself. I don't know what. Well, right now, that's not going to be the United Arab Emirates or anything like that. I mean, they're not going to be an option anymore because if not, just imagine.
First of all, they turn against us.
The first time they turn against us, it's a big problem. Well, I'll just go somewhere else, right? And so that's a complete loss. So regardless of whether they're, well, really, really dishonest, I mean, all of them are, but specifically the Revolutionary Guard has always been very dishonest in that sense. Well, obviously what is visible, and there are facts in that sense, is that they maintain control. At least to an almost complete degree. The point is they have control because it's not partial control. It means that no one passes without their permission.
So,
No, how could they not have control if they need their permission? That control doesn't need the human permission from the Emirates, the United States, or Israel. It takes away permission from the Iranians. It's a big problem. But anyway, what else?
also today it came out in the Wall Street Journal. Well, China apparently pressured Iran, which we already knew, to accept. Well, first to talk about a ceasefire and discuss negotiations to score points with the Trump administration. We have to remember Donald Trump was scheduled to visit China in May, but it was postponed due to the war. They say Xi Jinping is trying to convince Trump that Taiwan is a separatist province, that it's part of China. In their meeting, that's what he's trying to do. He wants to score points to convince Trump to let him continue with the plan of reunification, to reunite this piece with China.
Exactly, I mean reunification.
Reunification.
Exactly. Let's move on to other important matters as well. On the other hand, the Russian deputy foreign minister arrived in Cuba and confirms that Russia will supposedly be supporting the Diaz-Canel government. He surely reports that the deputy foreign minister stated in Havana that his country would be 100% supportive of Cuba. At this moment, Russia would be, they say, supportive of that country despite the complexity they are going through. We already saw this with the first shipment of supposedly 1,000 barrels of oil that had been delivered.
Yes, remember they're already preparing a second oil tanker, or so they say. And well, this meeting involving Diaz-Canel reaffirms the union that both Russia and Cuba have, both politically, economically, and commercially. But well, it's more of a symbol above all that they also continue to challenge the United States a bit.
Of course, it's a direct challenge to the United States. That's also, well, part of what was expected from this move. And while they've also been toning down the rhetoric from the White House's point of view, where they used to say, and the next one will be Cuba. And now they say, well, yes, the next one, but just as a saying, the spokesperson herself, Carmen Levin, who said, well, I mean, she's saying it as if the country is vulnerable and they're going to fall on their own. But not that the United States is going to go in. They've clarified it a couple of times. First Trump said it, then Levin repeated it again, saying we're not interested in going into Cuba. It's a topic that even the United States mentioned, saying, yes, we gave Russia permission to go through Cuba. I don't know if they gave permission or not, but that's what they say from their point of view. Now, a judge from the United States, a U.S. judge, overturned the Pentagon's new restrictions on the press because the Pentagon wants to strangle the press. And that's how it is. They only want to be asked what they like, not what they don't like. And look, being the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War, being a communicator from a news outlet, he has zero empathy for journalists. He has no empathy for journalism, isn't interested in communication or news, only in propaganda. That's all that matters to him. So, well, what's going on?
Well, the judge, whose name is Paul Friedman from the District Court of Washington, reviewed the policy again. This policy that they wanted to impose at the Pentagon, where they basically put restrictions on journalists' access. Those who are accredited to the Pentagon so they don't have access to certain information because according to them, it's a matter of national security and so on. I mean, they don't want these leaks that have been happening a lot lately because there are many people inside who don't agree. Sorry, how is the Pentagon being managed? And well, he says that after checking this policy, he says it can't be implemented because it's unconstitutional. And it is concluded that the changes introduced by the Pentagon after the previous ruling do not resolve the legal objections already pointed out. So, well, they want to restrict journalistic work, and they put these new laws in place regarding access to information and movement. They want to prevent reporters inside the military complex from going to certain places where people might approach them to give them information.
And among all the messages that have come out on this issue, what stands out the most?
Well, the thing is, when this new law was first mentioned, not just basically, but even the media, but Trump, they criticized him and left the Pentagon. Many that day, I remember, left the Pentagon with their boxes saying, if we aren't given access, it's better to leave.
But it doesn't make sense if they're not going to let you report, right?
And besides, it's one of the fundamental bases of the United States, the right to free speech, and now it turns out they don't even want to uphold it themselves.
And speaking of expressions and people expressing themselves, Donald Trump, check out another one of his messages. Trump doesn't say, this isn't the agreement we have regarding oil. What's going on? Why is it happening? Because of the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, he doesn't say it. He doesn't say it outright. It's like he doesn't like that the agreement isn't being fulfilled. In theory, the United States stopped attacking and operating and stopped attacking the targets. But at the same time, what you do see is that Iran is getting stronger in the Strait of Hormuz and is doing what interests them. And they say, we're going to keep enriching uranium, and now we're going to control the Strait of Hormuz as a kind of compensation for the damage they've done to us in the war. Well, it's obviously a tremendous issue that... Well, it seems like everything is going to be pushed so the conflict continues. And it doesn't seem to be the approach that's being taken. And the other message he gave is the one we saw a few minutes ago, where he says at the end of March 2026, Iran would be saying these are the reports. That Iran has changed the rates, not that they're not going, that it's charging fees to large cargo ships. He says it's better not to be that way. If that's the case, it's better that they stop now. He doesn't say. It's not.
Or that they pony up.
That here
is my account, or
to deposit into this OXXO deposit account.
I mean, just so he can see that we're struggling. That way I cover my eyes.
Well, no.
It's tough, and today there was a meeting of the LFDI officials in Israel. And in this briefing session today, it is known that it was held behind closed doors with the Knesset, which is basically the Congress of Israel. And well, they said that the most important point is that the new leadership of Iran is more extreme than its predecessor. In other words, we're much worse off now.
Of course. Well, that's how it is. That's the situation. But really, the big question here is, what about the World Cup? Like Francisco Arce says, what about the World Cup? Well, who knows what happened to it? A big greeting to the whole community that comments, that's always tuned in here with us. Feel free to comment if you haven't done so yet, and well, forget about the World Cup. I mean, gas prices are going to keep rising, tourism is at rock bottom, and only some areas will be saved because of the World Cup. But really, well, Iran is going to play, or maybe not. Well, I have a lot of doubts.
A lot of doubts because Infantino hasn't said anything about that. He just says if it's going to be played in the United States, but he should just tell us how, right? And well, also the Japanese newspaper says that starting next month, Japan will release crude oil reserves into the market every 20 days again. What they release is the equivalent of 20 days of supply. That's because, well, the situation still isn't very clear. We see the Strait, as we've mentioned, and well, about Sanae Takeshi today, I don't know if you talked about it. I mean, it's great, right? They're really keeping an eye on her now.
Yes, also upset about the news that Astrid mentioned yesterday about the engineers who are going there. the front line of Ukraine facing Russia to take notes, let's say, on what's happening and to detect which are the best features of the drones so they can also develop their own drones. Yes.
And that's exactly what's needed.
Well, but they want to be on the front lines of the war, and Putin doesn't like that they're on the Ukrainian side of the war.
And they're investing because they're also investing in a Ukrainian drone company that makes drones that shoot down other drones. Exactly. So, well, this issue has really bothered them.
It's necessary and urgent for countries here in Latin America to also invest in developing and creating drone defense systems. It's really necessary because a drone can cause a lot of damage. A lot. So it's very dangerous for energy issues, for infrastructure, even for key figures in a country, because it can create instability. I mean, drones can be a huge problem and we need to be much more careful with them. But look, here they go to events, to rallies, and they even take a jab at the president. Imagine what they'll think about drones, right? I mean, honestly, I see it as difficult, but well, with the way things are right now, I think we need to be more practical about this, more realistic in that regard.
I'm going to talk to a potter.
I'm going to put something. No, and the army is usually very professional in Mexico, but sometimes you need the vision of the leaders, right? And, well, it's a topic that, at least for now, honestly, I don't see it. Maybe it will happen, but I don't see it, right? At least in these geopolitical matters, it seems like it's not there. If it's Mexico, it's like with the little flag, like, no, I'm cool with everyone. And that's the flag I use the most. We've managed perfectly with that, but suddenly it's like we want to have more. Well, some preparation at least, right? Let's move on to other important matters. Great, so let's get to the comments.
Quickly.
Good evening, Henry. How have you been? Congrats, they say you look really well put together today. Greetings. Raul says a drone that takes down another drone is a cadrone.
Greetings from South America. I saw that they're talking more about acquiring warplanes than about drones. No, well, I feel like right now it's not about warplanes anymore, it's about drones.
Yeah, no, they're also tests. Yes, they're tests, but you need drones and of many types, right? For example, to transport equipment.
For rescue.
Imagine rescue being able to deliver supplies to a place, etc. No, there's a lot of work that can be done. We have to remember that a kid in Mexico started developing his drones. Do you remember? He created his company, went to the United States, and did really well there designing drones. A guy from northern Mexico, young, very young, and suddenly he sold after achieving what he did. He sold his company in the United States. Now he came back to Mexico. I think he's developing things around here, but I'm sure there are a lot of creative people in Latin America. Hopefully they just find people with vision to support them. So, a big shout out to Cuba, to Robel, who's watching us from over there. How are things going over there? Is it already getting better over there? There are fewer blackouts. How's everything going? Also, Dedeo, thank you very much for your comment. Big greetings as well. Who else is here?
Greetings to Avifritz and also greetings. As he says, good evening, Dad. How does it feel to have such a handsome son? It didn't happen. Ask your grandfather. He told him bit by bit, but Felix Terrazas Ukraine says this about being a drone specialist. There are so many that several companies exist. Some are about to start trading on Wall Street because they've done very well. They've developed very quickly. They were good, as far as I remember, at video games. In Belarus, they had two.
Good video games, yes, and hacks, the drone, and Russia too, by the way, he says, and also in video games. Russia too, those three countries, Belarus, Russia, Ukraine, are really creative on the subject. I mean, the issue as always, corruption, ambition, power, and so on. And all three countries have it. I mean, it's just that Ukraine kind of wants to move toward a slightly less corrupt country, although it also has its problems. He says we're not there anymore. How has Carlos Martinez been? The president says. Milei is traveling, invited by Israel to light the independence torch. Robert says, oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that. Sol says if the Navy isn't safe with the data leak, imagine the others. Just imagine. He doesn't mention those who just use 1, 2, 3, 4 as their password. No, we're in trouble. Greetings to Garcia. How have you been? Hello? A big hello to Miguel as well. Thank you very much, Miguel, for that. Thank you, Miguel. Super chat. I really appreciate you and everyone in the community who wants to support the channel. Sometimes we put it in the description and sometimes we don't. There are several ways to support if you choose to.
Martin, they want firefighter drones for high-rise buildings and life-saving rescues, and they've already released a drone-type car. Well, you can. We already told you about the mega drone that carries how much? 4 tons, we said. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Greetings, how have you been?
Excuse me, he says, Shimon already said that we shouldn't be making trips to the moon, but instead distributing money. He says, well, okay. Greetings as well, Carlos says.
He really does know. I mean, he knows the subject, everything that a trip to the moon generates, all the innovation and all the development.
Scientific, well, supposedly.
Yes, everything. No, scientific. I mean, and he does know, he knows perfectly well what that generates. Why not explain it? I mean, why not say it? Look, a trip to the moon is not a superficial expense. These trips generate impressive developments for the future, developments that she enjoys and that everyone enjoys. So their trips are necessary. I would say what really isn't necessary are wars. Honestly, those are not necessary. I would agree on that point. But in that, take Formula One, for example. Nowadays, Formula One spends millions on engines. Well, yes, it's just that those engines make cars more efficient, and thanks to those engines, we have things like fuel injection and other advancements. Well, right now we're already on to other things. There are even more advanced projects moving towards hybrids and all that, and electric cars. But yes, well, those advances are important, they're necessary. You don't waste so much money on so many silly things and other stuff, and they always come out. They criticize the moon because that's what's trendy, while the real issue is the money spent on everything else. Emmy Frizz says, how have you been? Hi, Emmy Frizz, greetings.
He says, but what is known is that Russia is already sending fuel ships to Cuba. They sent one and now they've sent others. There was supposed to be another one, supposedly, he says. But what is Mexico's current stance towards Cuba? Well, Mexico has sent humanitarian aid several times. The oil, the United States said no. But, well, it's assumed that the president is pushing for it, supposedly.
Yes, Mexico's stance has always been to help and not intervene. That's always the comment, at least that's what they say. Although, for example, in the case of Ecuador or Peru, there is a bit more intervention. I mean, the issue is kind of ambiguous. There's always that ambiguity from Mexico, whether it's some politicians or others. There's always a certain ambiguity on that topic. Pepe Estrici asks, what happened today on Polimarques? You didn't even get 200 likes. He wonders how that's possible. Well, it's not my fault. That's just how it goes, whether people hit like or not. We see more and more that the community participates afterwards. I mean, people are participating more after the live stream than during it. The people who watch later are outnumbering those who are there live. The community is winning. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because look, if we look at it, sometimes we end up with like 300 likes on the live or 400 likes. And it's just that, I mean, when you look at it live, afterwards we go to last night's live, right? Where it is, you know, you say the later live. There are 843 likes, but many reach 1,000, even 2,000 likes. But later in the community, it's like they're live and they don't participate as much. I don't know.
She says,
give them a hand with that. Pepe says,
Walter says, Pepe in Tabasco says, near the refinery, this smelled a lot like gas, but nothing ever happens. Everything is fine.
Everything's correct, right? All is fine. Greetings, Henry. He says the most peaceful drone is the Dronosaur. Hello, Henry. How are you? Good evening, Walter.
Martinez, if there are 3 more years with Trump, well, I know that's what everyone thinks. I mean, when is he going to leave? No, well, there's still a while to go.
It's just that they didn't impeach him.
Greetings also to Juanita, Adilson, Aparicio, Gonzalez. How are you, Aparicio?
Hey, thanks so much for that, greetings. Beto, how have you been? He says, hello. He says, those who complain about the trip to the moon are like those who get mad because there are people who take care of animals and say, humans should be the priority when there's enough for everyone. Exactly. That's the classic one.
Or they help
some people and they say, yes, but why do you help them? If there are also people in need here, you say, well, help everyone you can, right? I mean, the point is to help. The point is to help whoever you can, but you're absolutely right. I mean, there's always someone who will criticize. That's the classic one. I love that story in elementary school, The Little Donkey.
Oh, the one about the little donkey. For me, that's always been the story that really stuck with me because I've never cared about being criticized.
But well, let them criticize.
Oh, right. The story. It's a story. I don't know why I make it seem so off, right? Well, the story is about a man, his son, and a little donkey, and they're going to walk from point A to point B. So the man puts the boy on the donkey, and he leads the donkey, and then someone passes by. They say, "Oh, poor man, he's already so old, pulling the donkey while the boy is so comfortable on top." So they switch, and the man gets on the donkey, and the boy leads the donkey, right? And then, oh, poor boy, they're taking advantage of him. The man, comfortable on top of the donkey, so they say, well, let's both get on. So they both get on, and oh, poor donkey, they're taking advantage of him, so they both get off. Oh, look how silly they are. They don't get on the donkey so they can ride it. There's always going to be someone who criticizes you, right? Always.
Criticize, don't let it bother you.
That's it. Don't let it bother you.
Salud. Big greetings to Tapatia, who says, I have a clear conscience. I come in and leave a like. Guys, hurry up. Thank you very much, Tapatia. Big greetings. Greetings. Hey, Felix also says, we have to give Pepe a thumbs up. Thank you very much to the Pepe Nautas. Greetings, Felix. How have you been?
Hello, greetings, Angie. How are you, Angie? So how are you? And Jay Isabel says, comment, now AI can make hacking easier. This could put our bank accounts and personal data in cyberspace at risk. Yes.
Yes, it's a topic that, well, brought up your urgency, right? To say, let's stop there. Well, luckily they didn't release the model. I mean, the model, as we mentioned, we did a special about it. At least they left the model out because yes, it was pretty serious. People who had no idea about the topic using that AI would say, okay, how do I do this? Let's say, how can I take down X server? And you look at her, yes. And you, what happened? How? I mean, I didn't know anything, but now they call me, right? An expert in all this cyber stuff, hacking, whatever you want to do. No, it's dangerous. Obviously, it's good that they took it down, right? Greetings, Christy Kranz, greetings.
Greetings, Christy again. None of the people I know have linked their phone to their body, myself included. What do you think will happen? Will it be cancelled or not? No, I don't think so. Attention, no, it wouldn't be in their interest to cancel them. Just imagine. What? The phone lines.
The phone lines, and no.
I don't think so. Greetings to Arpa B as well, and she says that.
How are you? She asks, what was that story? I think I got it. It's from Second.
Yes, Second. Okay, over there, right? One of the first ones. Through greetings, ICMT, I get there, and right away they say the likes, and I'm very obedient, so I go and give it quickly.
Greetings, ICMT. How have you been? Big greetings to Vicky. She says, I finally caught you live.
Greetings.
Vicky, thank you. How have you been? She sends big greetings and says she loves the little donkey story. Thanks, Vicky.
Man, it was really good. Yes. Greetings to Carlos Martinez as well. How are you? What about Marilena, right? How are you, Marilena?
Greetings to Tehuacan, Puebla. Hello, Marilena. How have you been? Carlos says, greetings and good evening to everyone watching, including those on replay. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you're watching this later, please help us out by sharing, leave your comment, help us out as well. That really helps a lot when you share the videos.
Greetings to Gabriel Duran as well, and to Sheila in La Raya, also to Rublo. We greet Alicia Sendeño and also Ruben Williams. How are you, Ruben?
Greetings, Ruben, greetings.
Beto Barba?
Hello, Carabel.
Yes, let's cancel the connection. Yes. And the thing is, what I don't like is the biometric body thing. Yes, Carlos.
He says, Raul, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Exactly. And what's more, even gold coins, there will always be someone who says, I don't want the damn gold coin. I prefer silver or I prefer Bitcoin.
Greetings, Aaron Padilla. How are you, Aaron?
Hi, how have you been? Good to see you. He says the story about the little donkey and the horse doesn't work. He asks why.
No, it's the same thing.
No, because maybe the horse can handle more, right?
No, it's the same. I'll always see someone. Greetings to Pistones Roque. Hello, dear friends. We're back. I'm sending you a hug. I want to tell you that in a month and a half, I'm expecting my second child. And on the other hand, I'm doing my internship for my social work degree. Greetings from Uruguay. Greetings, Pistones. Well, very happy.
A big hello, and well, it's quite an experience. The interesting thing about the second child is that, well, it's obviously a different experience.
Each child has a different dad. I need a different dad.
Yes, I need you to be kind of different because obviously, but what you've learned helps you. Yes.
Definitely.
What you've learned, yes, helps you.
But you realize that it's totally different.
But they're different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in our case, the first one was super calm. And it was like, I mean, we had to push him to be more active, you know? And the other one was crazy, super active. And it was like, how do you calm him down? Like in the ring? Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, it's incredible. Like you say, what I learned, now I have to keep innovating.
Look, there he is.
He came from Santa Rosa.
Oh, so that you can't see like a little stand. A little stand, Sally?
I don't know if you remember it. Hey, have you been there? You say there are a lot of floods in Tucumán. It's been raining for 2 months, I mean.
Greetings.
Where have you been, Sally? How have you been? A big hello. Speaking of floods, I hope you and your family are okay. It's been raining here for a day too. Well, no. A week? It's already Saturday. A week, but not continuously.
No, let's say with intervals. If you hang something, everything.
It never happens. But today it was continuous. I mean, today it really was continuous, hours and hours and hours raining. So they're going to arrive at the World Cup and they won't see Monterrey all dry. They'll see it with green trees and all that.
And besides, we got back the water that the United States took from us.
Oh yeah, they already gave it back to us. God told us, look, the water that Trump took is coming back to us now. And an extra one with the blessing and everything.
Yeah, because we're being rude, even with the Pope.
There it is. Hey, Uncle Richie says not to allow the phone to connect and explains how to do it. Oh, I didn't know that.
No?
Well, that's fine. I mean, we need more people in the opposition who are smart. I mean, I'm not saying he's the smart one, I don't know, because I haven't taken the time to analyze what proposals he has. But at least he's been smart on social media, right? And in that sense, yes, he gets credit for that. There are very few opposition options, let's say. A lot of funny people, a lot of people who are great at using humor for criticism, which is very common here in Mexico, and that's fine.
It's the best way since it's the easiest way to get in.
And there are options for different ways of seeing things. It doesn't have to be just one. He says, Syria asked me, if you saw the United States flag in a mall on a flagpole, how would you feel? On a flagpole? Well, no, nothing really. So, you mean here in Mexico, like if there was a United States flag?
Well, yeah, we have to wear what?
No, there is. Yeah, I've never seen that. No.
Outside at the hotels?
No, but there are like 7 flags. Yes, United States, Canada, Mexico. But no, if there were only one flag, it would be weird. Yeah, it would be weird, honestly. I mean, it would be like, but no, I've never seen it like that. Whenever there's a United States flag, there will always be one from Mexico and one from Canada too. At least that's how I've seen it here, you know? I mean, and it's strange.
But let's say we had a neighbor from the United States and they put up the United States flag, then sure, that's fine here.
At their house, they can put up anything they want. But if they put it up in some stores, it would be weird. I mean, it would be like, for example...
Chivi is from Texas. Shouldn't she be allowed to display the flag?
No. I mean, no, she doesn't have the right. No, she would have to put up a Mexican one. She could do that, but...
She's not going to do it. She wouldn't do it.
She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. I mean, if she did put one up, it would definitely be a Mexican one. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Because something happened over there in Guadalajara, or so Vicky says.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't connected it, and honestly, I don't want to. Maybe I'm wrong about it. Wait, Vicky, wait. Don't connect it?
Yeah? Well, patience. Let's see what happens. Yeah, but I think that most people, from what I see, at least what I feel here, don't want to connect them. Very good evening. Nicaragua 23, very good. Nicaragua 23 says no in a huge mall in Guadalajara.
How strange. Very strange. Have they even asked themselves why?
People haven't complained, have they?
Juanita says, when I see the United States flag, I give myself money. Novak's dad says, as a joke, your resume says you depend a lot on your mother. That's what she wrote? Well, yes, he does depend a lot.
Martin says, what's this C virus? Where did it appear and what symptoms does it have? Well, look, this virus or this thing that causes a reaction in the eye, when it becomes a very strong reaction, you can end up developing something similar to, what's it called? like cataracts or things like that, or at a very extreme level, but that's very rare. I mean, what it usually causes is something similar to an irritation, but it's something that's still being studied. So there's not much. They shared little, only saying they'd keep investigating after their discovery. They publish it in a scientific journal, which I mentioned in the video. Which journal is it, in case someone is a doctor, biologist, or just interested in the topic? They publish what has been developed so far since it's still in progress, as they said, and I mentioned this in the video. Because what they want is for more research to be done on sea animals in relation to possible diseases they could cause in humans. I mean, like viruses, bacteria, etc. Because people tend to say, oh, they're from the sea, they're another species, and they're not going to cause us any problems. Well, they've already shown that they can actually cause a problem. So, yes, it's an interesting topic, but there's not much. There aren't many details yet. Very well.
Right? Marta Garza is asking me, when is this rain going to stop? Well, tomorrow it's supposed to let up, but over the weekend a cold front is coming, but it's just cold, apparently without rain, just a bit cloudy.
Apparently. Ada says they won't remove it from the linking process and will keep extending it until most of us are linked to the QR and phone. Do you agree? I doubt it. I really doubt that's going to happen, honestly. Let's make the bet, Ada said. Let the bets be placed for some candies from up north.
Well, it's going to rain on Sunday too.
Against some sweets from downtown, Ada, or maybe in downtown, I'm not sure.
Good candy.
Yeah, well, sweets to keep the kids away.
Yeah, it's raining on Sunday too.
It's raining too, just look at that.
Yeah, it's really tough here.
He says, during the change, when I see the flag, it's Sunday all over again.
And then Wednesday.
He says the change is clear when I see the flag, children, war, or looting of mineral wealth, says Ruben, just like that.
They haven't asked. Mercedes Tapatia.
Mercedes, how are you?
She says, well, there's a flag in front of a hotel, and I just asked at the hotel, and a young lady answered me. I told her I was annoyed, and neither of us knew why they put it up. She agreed with me.
And she agreed that it wasn't right. I mean, how crazy, how crazy.
She says she didn't register my cell phone.
The bacteria is already like meat, like in the flesh. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, I remember that one. That one's been around longer, right? Tamay and Coluna, how have you been? Good morning. Greetings. Tapatia, great. Well, thanks for the topic. No, I don't know it. I don't know. Which mole would it be? I mean, just to know which mole is it. He says the bacteria is already like in the flesh. These are the things. We already talked about it. He says I'm not going to register my cell phone either. Yeah.
Greetings, Chilito Charles. How are you?
Greetings, Chelito. The ones who... Those of us who who gave their RFC and have a service contract and all that, I think they ask you for it from the beginning. I mean, as far as I know, they do ask you for that.
I mean, yes.
So I probably already gave it years ago, way before that, but that's because they ask for it there. Now that it's mandatory, they're going to ask me to give it to them. Just to be contrary, just to say no, well, why not? Contraroso?
Soli says we're fine, luckily, but the people who live in low-lying areas were really affected. A lot of people lost everything. And about the missing, yes, I see them, but only on delayed broadcasts. A lot of work for them.
Well, it's good that you have work, Soli. A big hello. And well, yes. Yes, I've seen how the situation has been. And yes, we've had it come up from time to time, but I didn't know it was this serious. Greetings. Soli, take care, he says. Claudio is very stubborn, and if he's going to do it, it's because of our bad luck, he says. Adaiso, do you think it will really continue? Let's see how that goes. Adaiso sending you a big hello, he says. Who else has a contract? Well, for those who want to say it, as far as I know, if you have a contract, they definitely put all your information there. Yes, it's well recorded because it's a contract, it's credit, etc. So, well, there it is. But if you have the problem for many here has been that there's a lack of control in the registration. And well, on one hand, you say how cool that they don't have so much control, but on the other hand, you also say the lack of control there's been. It's kind of to know, well, who's up to no good, but the problem is that those who are up to no good are really tricky. and they're not going to register themselves, they're going to register other people. So in the end, everyone ends up registered except the bad guys, so to speak. So it's a problem. They always sell us the idea that for more security, they're going to keep us under tighter control. You control the people who were already cool, who were already calm, and the ones who are out of control, they keep doing their thing anyway. Of course, says Marilena. How have you been, Francisco Tapati? Well, let's go.
Let's go, guys. Remember that we're on WhatsApp, she says. Comment. I spent 8 years as a girl in the language school, which was funded by the consulate. Here in Foreign Affairs, that's why I mentioned that maybe at some event, for example, in Foreign Affairs, if they have, as far as I know, inside, yes, with what they're more interested in.
Yes, well, but they're already more of an American institution at this point. And they have, well, like a connection with the embassy, yes, with the embassy and all that. That's another topic, right? Exactly, but yes, good point there, Christy. Here, there's also a language center like that, and they help you get the TOEFL, the official one and all that. So, yeah, that's cool, but here I usually get it from a store because I'm usually very careful. I mean, they put up a bunch of flags, but it's interesting, it says, in my childhood, we didn't use phones and I survived, but just barely. We barely survived.
I don't know how.
We don't even know how we did it. You know, the other day, I thought I had lost my cell phone, but it turns out Astrid had taken it. Entonces,
Who am I? Who am I?
very aware. Did you take a Vingacho? Because, I mean, we were there. I took an extra exercise class, and Astrid and my oldest son went for a walk on a trail that's there. I didn't realize I handed them the phone at some point.
Yeah, did you give it to me?
Yeah, well, I didn't even remember then, and I didn't have my backpack, so I thought, could someone have taken it? What's going on? I mean, they're people I really trust and all, but, well, you start to wonder, right? What could have happened? I don't know what, but you don't even realize you lost it because I didn't know where they went or where they were. I could only guess, you know? But do you realize how hyper-dependent you are? And before everything was planned out, I mean, you always made plans? Well, okay, we're going to meet at this spot. Well, around this time I'll be over there, but then I'll walk over later. I mean, you kind of had an idea, and now you don't anymore. We don't really talk much. It's more like, where are you? I'm here. Are you coming? We really rely on those little things. Let's see. Let's try having 1 day a week without a cell phone. Let's see if we can survive.
Of course we can.
All right, great. Take care. A big hug. See you tomorrow early in the morning.
See you tomorrow for the live notification, and we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and X.
Great. We'll see you tomorrow. We interrupt your regular programming.
Thank you for tuning in to The Truth.
This is Pepe Live?
The truth is intense, the unusual is real. We analyze it here, global perspective. Don't miss out, tune in to Pepe Live channel, Pepe on the controls, and Astrid telling it like it is. Raw journalism, here it's respected. Enable alerts, don't lose track until next time. Yes, sir.
We do roll call.
Subscribe. Pepe Live in the house.